And thank you very much for joining us tonight. So we are going to record this session, and I'll stop it right at the end. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to the firefighters who will be in charge of the burn. Brian Pippen, Fire Operations. Brian, can you give me your title? Because I messed that up last time.
Yeah, just Fire Operations Specialist.
Okay, Fire Operations Specialist for Fish and Wildlife Service. And Brian is a Type 2 burn boss working on becoming a Type 1 burn boss. As I explained before, Type 1 burn boss, there's a lot of work, a lot of training that goes into becoming a Type 1 burn boss. It's the highest level burn boss you can be in the federal government and also probably the state. They're about the same. Takes a lot of time. We have probably less than 10 of those in the entire Southeast region. Next slide, please, Maria. The other person that will be on the burn that day is Greg Sussex. Greg Sussex is our zone prescribed fire specialist. Greg has over 26 years of experience in firefighting. Greg is a Type 1 burn boss, so he is one of our most qualified burn bosses. Next slide, please. And also on the burn will be Tom Ledbetter. Tom Ledbetter is stationed here at Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. Tom is our zone fire management officer, also a Type 1 burn boss. He has over 40 years of experience in fire. And has worked at Everglades National Park, Big Cypress, worked for the Forest Service, and worked fire out west also. All three of these highly skilled firefighters are also on national incident teams and often go out west to fight fires with other qualifications. With that, Brian, I'd like to turn it back over to you, please.
Okay, thanks, Rolf. All right, Maria, next slide. All right, map of the Strazzulla unit. As we mentioned before, it does not include this little southern piece of the dark green. There you go. She's tracing the outline with it, with the cursor there. Perfect. Okay, next slide. So our objectives for this burn, we want to consume 50 to 90% of the cattails and the sawgrass in a mosaic pattern. We want to leave unburned areas. The Strazzulla track is about 2,600 acres in total. We don't want to burn 2,600 acres. We're at the minimum going to do about 1,300, getting on up a little bit over 2,000 acres. The reason we want to do that, we want to leave some unburned patches to have some refuge for some wildlife, and we want those to be at least 100 square foot in size. We're going to do that, like I said before, with some of the equipment we're going to be using. Probably going to be aerial ignition. We're going to not have the flame fronts come together out there in the middle. So that's how we're going to leave some of that unburnt. So it won't just be a strip along the edge at Homeland or a strip along Wellington, and you won't look out your backyard and see nothing but black. There'll be some green out there. That will allow us to reduce the encroaching shrub density. And we also want to have no adverse impacts to any threatened or endangered species or nesting bird colonies, any of the discrete tree islands that the wildlife use out there, any untreated Melaleuca stands, and we don't want any fire burning into the ground. We call it ground fire, muck fire. It has a couple different names, but we want to burn during the portion of the year that there's still moisture in the soil so that we don't have long-term smoke effects. Next slide, Maria. So fire is beneficial. It'll enhance the community safety. It will reduce the wildfire risk for the community of Homeland. It'll also reduce the buildup of deadwood and other debris that are out there. It'll improve the watershed conditions by thinning the dense stands of trees, and it will help return the landscapes to their natural balance they have with fire. Once we do put fire into this unit, we will continually maintain it with prescribed fire probably every 3 to 5 years. So what to expect the day of the burn? You'll see hopefully a lot of the underbrush burning. You'll see fire personnel. You'll see and may even smell smoke. We're going to target a wind direction that will provide us the best the best case for success that we'll have and the least amount of impact to the general public, including the community of Homeland, the city of Wellington. But in an abundance of caution, if you would like to, we encourage residents to close their windows, cover the pools, move the cars into the garage or under a carport, move furniture indoors, or you can cover them. Stay indoors. That will help minimize your impact from the smoke. And if you see any fire personnel or law enforcement out in the community working, please abide by all their signs, their road closures, and instructions about closed areas for the day. We don't anticipate any long-term closures with any of this. There may just need to be some clear access paths in and out of the community there for a few hours during the operation, but that's really it. Should have no factor to the normal traffic flow in there. The immediate long-term effects of the prescribed burn that you'll have is a reduced risk of catastrophic wildfires immediately to the community. It'll open up the habitat for the fauna that need the foraging space. It'll prevent the encroachment of the flora and the trees, you know, that hardwood shrubby layer, the Melaleuca, all the undesirables out there, if you will. It'll promote long-term growth and ecological biodiversity. We coordinate with our partners pretty heavily. Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, they'll be notified of it. The Florida Forest Service is already notified of our wishes to conduct a prescribed burn on the Strazzulla tract. They're very familiar with its location. The Florida Forest Service will actually issue us our burn permit for the day. So even though we're the federal government, they're the state government, they look at the weather parameters, they look at the amount of resources that we have on the day to conduct the burn, and they give us the thumbs up. And they give us essentially permission to do the prescribed burn. So we coordinate with our partners very well, mainly being the Florida Forest Service. So, and the other side of the slide has a fun fact about the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service program nationally. The day of, we'll probably have at least a dozen firefighters and some overhead, as well as 6 or 7 fire engines. Sorry, Rolf, you're muted.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording, and then if anybody has a question, Maria, will you pop up my email address one more time if someone wants to email me? And if you guys have questions that you come to mind, please feel free to email me, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. So that's my contact information if you need to talk to me. We're hoping, if I do it right, to have this recording posted on our website. But